Well, hello and welcome to another month of the ModaliTea Club with me, Nick. We're now on month 5 and we've drunk all kinds of really fantastic teas over the last 4 months, but we haven't yet drunk the most commonly drunk kind of tea in the world, and that is green tea. Obviously hugely popular in China, not drunk much in the West, in part because it's offered to people in these horrible little tea bags, which as soon as they see any hot water just go really bitter and astringent and mouth puckering, and understandably you and I say no thanks, but good news, there's a better way. If you stick to whole leaf loose leaf tea, you can get yourself some really fabulous green tea that's really invigorating, refreshing, quite sweet, with some nice grassy vegetal notes as well, and that's what we're going to be drinking today. So in this month in the tea club we're drinking Snail curled Chun green tea from Yunnan province. Let me show you some. So here we go. So hopefully you can see that. I'm not sure how well that's zoomed in really, but it is really fabulous. These leaves are tightly curled in a spiral that looks like a snail shell, hence the name. And the Chinese do love an aesthetic quality to their teas and things, so that always adds to the charm. So I'm going to be brewing the tea as we talk about it, as we talk about how to brew tea, but also how is green tea made and why should you get into drinking it. And thankfully the sun is shining on this British summer's day, and so there's not a better time to drink green tea in my book. So here we go. So I've got water at 80 degrees from my temperature control kettle. Now you may not have a temperature control kettle, and that's very reasonable if you don't, to be honest. What I do at work is I fill up the brewing vessel about 20% with cold water and then pour on the boiling water, and that gives you about 80 degrees. So you can easily try that yourself. So I'm brewing this for 2.5 minutes. I've got 3 grams, that's 1.5 teaspoons of tea in there. So just to go through those parameters again: 80 degree water, 200-250 mils, 3 grams, which is 1.5 teaspoons of the Chun, for 2.5 minutes for the first brew, and maybe about 4 minutes for the second, and then you can try and brew it for longer, get a third steep out if you can, or you can throw the leaves in some cold water, stick it in the fridge overnight, and you've got yourself some very nice iced tea for the next day. So while we're brewing, let me tell you a little bit about green tea. So we've talked about this before, but to make the comparison, so the black tea that we tend to drink in the West is a fully oxidized tea, and so obviously if you cut into an apple and it starts to go brown, that's oxidation reaction to the enzymes in the apple. When leaves, when they fall in the autumn, those lovely brown golden colours, again that's oxidation of the leaves, and in the same way that's what tea makers have been trying to make with for black tea, to try and get a bit closer to the flavour profile of coffee that we couldn't drink 300 years ago because we weren't playing nicely with the Spanish and the Portuguese. But by contrast, the Chinese want to kind of really preserve and capture all those really fresh flavours from the fresh tea leaves as soon as they're picked in the plantation or out in the fields. And so the way that they do that is, as soon as they pick the leaves and they come down off the hills in the plantation into the kind of farm stead, if you like, in most tea plantations, then they cook to a degree the leaves very quickly to kill all the enzymes, and that process is called the kill green process. And you can do it in a few ways. You can wok fry your tea leaves, and that's what they do in pu'er tea. That's what they do for famous green tea called Dragonwell or Longjing. But you can also steam the tea, which is what tends to happen in Japan, or you can heat it more directly as well. So kind of obviously how you do that kind of processing does matter, but the overall effect is that you're going to kill all the enzymes, so kind of heat up the tea to at least 45 degrees or so, and then you're going to preserve all those lovely kind of green flavours in the tea. So my buzzer's just gone, it's been 2.5 minutes. There we go, and you can see the colour on this tea is a lovely kind of yellow, yellow golden kind of colour, and the leaves have dramatically grown in size. So let's do a nice high pour. And here we go, we've got some really fabulous green tea to enjoy. Cheers. So on the nose, oh, it's very heady. Oh, it's really very nice. It's it definitely has that kind of grassy and kind of maybe kind of bean vegetal note, but there's this kind of very very kind of floral aroma almost with it too. That's really nice. And on the palate, it is very refreshing, very thirst quenching, but really invigorating, very appetizing, sweet, and there's a slight kind of nutty note as well, and that kind of grassy flavour profile that you'd expect with a green tea. Now some other teas like the Dragon Well I mentioned is kind of very famous for its kind of chestnutty notes. Sencha green tea in Japan tends to be kind of quite big on the grass, kind of almost verging into umami, and there's this kind of ultra expensive green tea from Japan which is grown in a kind of shaded way called gyokuru, if I was to pronounce that right, and that is very umami, kind of seaweedy flavours, really very interesting, very hard to brew right actually as well, so not sure we're going to start there, but this is a very approachable, easy to brew, sweet green tea, very minimal astringency, brewing if you make sure that you don't overbrew it, and I hope you enjoy. Just a reminder about those parameters, so 80-degree water, and that is to reduce the astringency. Boil it at 100, put in some boiling water in, and I promise you that astringency will come through. 2.5 minutes, 1.5 teaspoons of tea, easy as that. Well, I hope you enjoy drinking some very nice green tea with me this month, and let me know what you think. Cheers guys, bye bye.